Welcome, welcome. We'll go ahead and get started and we will start sitting. So make as comfortable a seated posture as you can, with or without support. You could even start sitting in a chair if that's the most comfortable way for you to sit. So we can sit for just a few minutes and ground and connect and be welcoming and present. And then just see if as you begin to let your eyes close and feel your posture, notice what it feels like to be in your body at this moment, at this time of your day. Also notice any specific feeling, as in agitated, as in restless, as in tired, as in content. Well-being. Is there any feeling of well-being, or are there just kind of little arrows of tension or stress at all? Bring attention to any of that specificity of feeling. Without getting carried away by it, with it in your mind. So you might notice any one of those particular feelings, if there's an overriding feeling of anxiety or sadness, irritation, impatience. Notice the moment at which thoughts start rolling the reel of your mind about that feeling. Just sit with the sensation of it if you can. And then you might notice, just by bringing awareness to feeling, observing the feeling of feeling, the sensation of feeling. You might notice a little dissipation or melting away or cessation of that feeling. Just let awareness continue to seek that feeling. Without falling into any kind of narrative about it. Nice, take another breath or two. So you might already notice, you might be kind of in the practice here long enough to know that just simply sitting, observing sensation in the body, the breath itself, resolving itself into this just kind of natural, spacious rhythm is why you practice. When you have feelings of stress, of irritation, of restlessness, of anxiety, that simple practice of just noticing is its own kind of medicine. And then you can stay with eyes closed or let your eyes come open, and we'll stay in a seat, but begin to move and do just some cross lateral, but kind of a linking movement to breath, letting the breath really be the driver. So wait for an inhalation, and then when the inhalation begins, follow that with a lift of your right arm. And then as you exhale, bring it down and across to your left knee and rotate your spine. Wait for the next inhale. Let it begin. Let it follow with your left arm reaching up. And the exhale is down and across. Do that twice more to each side. And really try to stay on top of the breath, as in paying close enough attention to feel when the breath begins, so that your movement can start just after the beginning of the breath. So the exhale begins and then you move. Stay till the full and complete end of exhalation. Feel the beginning of inhalation. Follow that with movement of your arm lifting, waiting for the exhale, and then follow the beginning of exhale with movement. Let's do one more to each side. And then come up with both arms and side bend. Once more, each direction. And then reach both arms up. This next inhale, both arms up, exhale. Both arms come down. Okay, and then let's move from your seat onto your hands and your knees with this just same really close attention or sensitivity, really, to the initiation of breath followed by movement, just like a split second, but really keeping the attention on that beginning and then cessation of each breath in and each breath out, and then letting movement fit within the space of that breath. And then your inhale is cow pose, and your exhale is child's pose. Here's 4. Let's finish this one and do one more. Inhale, let the inhale begin, and then come back onto all fours. And then bring your toes under. Take a breath in. When the exhale begins, then lift up into downward facing dog. Stay here for 4 more breaths. Full and complete. Look forward, shift your weight forward, drop your knees to the floor. Come together with your knees, come together with your feet, curl your toes under, and come up and sit back on your heels if you can. You can, of course, be not as fully weighted forward, some weight forward into your hands. If you can, sit back on your feet, sit back on your heels with your toes curled under in broken toe pose. One more breath here. Forward and then off of your heels, but lift your toes and turn your toes back and sit back on your feet again. And then if you can lean back into your palms, lift both knees away from the floor. So kind of the reverse stretch into the tops of your feet and your ankles. You can also just be more upright and lift just opposite hand to knee, lift one knee away from the floor, the other knee away from the floor, and just do one foot and ankle at a time. Good. Release that and then come forward into your palms. Come back into the ball of one foot and then lift up onto the ball of your other foot. Lower one knee to the floor. Maybe that first knee lowers to the floor, lower your other knee to the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale, one foot back. The other foot back. Inhale, wait for inhale to start and then drop one knee. And then by the end of that inhale, we drop the other knee. When exhale begins, then take one foot back. When you reach the end of exhalation, your other foot back. Inhale, knee to the floor. End of inhale, other knee to the floor. Do two more like that. Just stay really close and sensitive to the beginning and end of breath. So take a breath out. One foot goes back. Reach the end of exhalation. Your other leg goes up, foot goes back. Inhale. Once more. And then take your knees wide, take your hips to your heels, come into child's pose with your arms down alongside you. And just turn your hands, roll your hands across the backs of your wrists a few times. Take two more breaths in child's pose. Can't help you right now, Kitty. Okay, bring your palms under you to come up out of child's pose and then come up to stand. From the fold, finish an exhalation. Just feel yourself drop, feel your knees open up, feel your sit bones lift. Take another breath in. Take another breath out. And then come up to stand. On an inhale, lift yourself up to stand, and then exhale, pause. Okay, and then let's take the feet wide. Take a wide stance. You're going to turn out your right heel and turn back your right heel, turn out your left foot. Be wide enough for a nice, strong, maybe slightly wider than usual triangle pose. As wide as you can go and still feel very steady, right, and stable in your legs, okay? So we're gonna drop back into like a reverse first. You're gonna drop right hand to outside of right thigh, right knee, and take your left arm up and over into a side bend. Wait for the inhalation to come. Inhale starts, come back out, go wide with both arms and drop into triangle pose. Take your gaze to the floor, soften the muscles of your face, soften your eyes, let your breath move softly. Can you feel the coolness of your breath at the intake of air, right at the rims of your nostrils? Can you sense the coolness of the breath? little more weight to your back heel if you can. So if you can, try to lift all 10 of your toes and feel where you are imprinted across the balls of your feet and in the weight of your, and in the bones of your heels. Take one more breath in triangle pose. Good. And then reach through your top arm, push through your left foot, and come all the way out to that. Okay. Turn in your left toes. Be balanced, right, in your stance and the alignment of your feet. Your feet are wide, but pointing at the long edge of your mat. And then fold, just fold here for a couple of breaths. Pause in between the two sides of triangle pose. Take a few breaths here. Can you lift your toes here? Not hands on the floor. Can you lift all 10 of your toes? Stand in balanced weight across the balls of your feet and back into your heels. Finish this exhalation. Wait for the exhale to finish. And when you sense inhalation, let the inhale start, let the inhale begin, and then come up. And then triangle pose, second side. Your right foot turns out, your left heel goes back. Take your right arm into the air. Inhale, right arm into the air. Exhale, drop back into a side bend, reverse. Wait for the inhale. Come out and come forward, and then let exhale take you down into triangle pose. Look down. Soften your breath, soften your eyes and your face. Couple of more breaths here. Can you again try to, if it doesn't throw your balance off too much, can you lift your toes? Lift your toes, but keep them spread and find in the sense of how your weight distributes into the balls of your feet and into your heels. One more breath. Push through, right foot, lift through, left arm. Reach up strongly to stand up. Then turn in your right toes, and then step your feet, heel toe your feet, or step your feet back together. Then take a breath, pause here for a breath. Okay, and then we'll take a block. Not strictly necessary, but quite helpful to revolve. Triangle pose, so it will come under your right hand. Your right foot will go back a bit. Short stance. Let's take the right arm up into the air. Take a breath in. Exhale, forward. Drop that block right underneath your shoulder. And then recommit to your feet. And then recommit a little bit more forward. Wait a little bit more forward. You can turn the hips into the rotation, and then from the belly rotate, and then through the rib cage rotate. Keep looking down if that's is the best place for your neck, the best sensation for your neck. Take two more breaths here. Let's back out a little bit until you feel the sacrum, the horizontal plane of the sacrum, even with the floor, like parallel with the floor. So we have the sacrum in the horizontal plane, And then try just to move from your belly, your rib cage. Right, and if that creates strain or tension or tightness or pinching anywhere along the muscles of the waist, the side waist, the rib cage or the abdomen, the low back, just find what is the optimal movement of your sacrum, of your pelvis into the revolved triangle pose. Maybe you don't drop the hips completely sideways, but you don't stay completely in the horizontal plane. You might be somewhere in between, and then release and come out. Can you just stay in the fold? Maybe you could take your block, and if you still want a little bit of support under the hands, bring both hands to your block. Push into your left foot, but lift at the same time, lift your left sit bone. Open the back of your left knee and your left hamstrings. Two more breaths. Step forward your right foot. Take a breath in the full fold. Feel the difference between your left leg and your right leg, any discrepancy in the feeling of length, stretch, any sensation at all, and then lift on an inhale to come up. And then grab your block again, and with your left hand, and step back your left foot. You're going to reach up and then fold forward. Revolve triangle pose. Good. Take a couple of more breaths here, and again, play with the alignment, the position of your sacrum, moving back to where it is a little more in the horizontal plane. Feel movement, and the rotations start more from the belly, the rib cage, and then give it just a little more play and find comfortable alignment, angling of your pelvis. Take another breath. Good, and then find just the fold. So again, if you want to use the block, you can use the block. Pushing into right foot, lift the right sit bone. And 10, stretch for your right hamstrings. And if you want to bring the spine down, you get a nice, again, extension and stretch along the entire length of your spine. Take a couple more breaths in the fold. Pyramid pose. Ardhva-Uttanasana. Okay, and then step forward. Your left foot, and you set your block off to the side, and then wait for an inhalation. Just finish and exhale in the fold. Let the inhale begin and then rise up. Oh, okay, and then from the top of your mat, let's take back the right foot into lunge pose. Let the ball of the foot find the floor back there. Just take a slow, to begin, a slow step back, and then lean forward, push off the foot, and just step it forward. Lunge pose, push off, step the foot forward. Hold it this time, so find lunge pose. And give a good amount of support or squeeze or contraction right into the back of your right hip, into your right glutes. Push your right heel a little more toward the floor and just come to what for you is comfortable hip extension. Front of your right hip, maybe something even of the length of your right thigh, but more probably up into the abdomen, especially then if you reach your arms overhead. Take a breath in, wait for the inhale, reach up, lift your chest, feel your belly stretch, feel the abdomen get a little more lengthy. And then on the exhale, just be upright, just be more upright. And we'll just find long lower back. Take 2 more breaths. Good. And then push off the back foot, step it forward, and then just be in mountain pose again for a couple of breaths, 2 or 3 breaths. So just let the strong sensations in your feet, your right leg, your right hip, your back, your left leg, left quadriceps, maybe left thigh. Follow the sensations out of your body. Okay, and we'll do a few step backs of your left foot. Just take a one big slow step back, find the lunge pose. Lean forward, push off, step left foot back. Up to the top, pick up the knee if you want. Find the lunge pose. Push off, step it forward. Hold. Hold here. Good. Left heel back. Some sensation of a nice grip in the left quadriceps. Comfortable feeling of extension for you. No pulling, no pinching, no tearing, just a healthy stretch through the front of your hip. You might need something different for your left hip. There might be some discrepancy in left hip, right hip. Then bring your arms overhead, take a breath in, lift the chest, reach back. Feel the abdomen extend with your breath. Exhale, just be upright. One more. Lower the arms, and this time reach down to the floor, left hand to the floor, right hand to the floor as your right foot slides back, downward facing dog. One more breath in the pose, in downward facing dog. Look forward, step the feet forward until they're under your hips again.
From the forward fold in, hands to your hips, wait for an inhalation. Rise up with an inhale. Exhale. Okay, and tree pose from here. We're starting with a lot of left leg forward, left leg first, left leg forward, left leg first. If you want to start on your left leg, start on your left leg. You switch it up and start on your right leg. Start on a leg, come into tree pose. Establish your balance, establish some sense of balance, of stability. Establish your gaze. Come back to the sensation of breathing. Establish your breath again. Softly, soft face, soft eyes. And just be with the breath, be inside your breath. Three more breaths on this side. Release the arms. Lift your knee forward, drop your foot to the floor. And again, stand in mountain pose until you can sense all of the work, all of the effort, and the sensations of that pose. Leave the body, stay in your own sense of your body interiority, but just feel the sensations of the pose drop away. Any strain in your standing leg, ankle, or the hip. Move a little bit through your knees. Finish this breath, and then let's go to your other leg, second side. Good, and then just take a minute, reestablish yourself in presence, your body, and your breath, your gaze. Point of focus for your gaze here again. Sense ease in your face. Even if you don't feel quite stable in your balance, is there a foundation of ease in your breath, in your gaze, in your face? 3 more breaths. And then let that go, slowly let that go. And again, just stand, close your eyes, stand in mountain pose. Feel any remaining sensations of the pose in your standing leg, ankle, knee, hip, anywhere else in your body. Okay, and then we'll take the feet apart. We'll come back to facing the long edge of your mat. Step your feet apart as wide as you can go and still turn out your feet at an angle and be able to bend your knees and just sit straight down into a little squat and then come up. And let's go out with the arms. Make right angles at the elbows and pull the elbows back a little bit. Keep the arms like that. And just sit as low as you can. No strain in the knees, just until you feel your quadriceps kick in and contract to keep you from collapsing. And just move slowly. On the exhale, lower down. Do 5 more. All the way up, and then you can let your arms go, turn in your toes and bring your feet back together. Then from top of your mat, feet hips distance apart, or you can stand with your feet up close to one another, feet together. Take a breath in, reach up tall, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, sit just a tiny bit into chair pose. Big breath in, exhale, sit a little more. 3 more breaths like that, inhale. Tiny little bit of effort more. Finish this exhalation, forward fold. Half forward fold. Stay through the exhale. Take another breath in. Palms to the floor. Walk back to a high push-up position. Take a breath in here. Drop your knees to the floor, exhale. Bring your chest to the floor, exhale. Point your toes back. Bring your elbows in tight to your sides. Slide your palms down to pull your chest forward and up off the ground. Keep tight in your feet and your legs and your hips. Breathe into your chest. Keep your chest lifting and buoyant by breathing there. Take 1 more breath. Good, and then lower your head, turn one cheek to the floor, your arms down alongside you, shoulders down. Shoulder release, hip release, knees and feet release. I'm kidding. Thank you. Good. Okay, and then bring your palms next to your chest. Push yourself from the floor. Kitty. Let's take a little bit of cushion for your knees if you have something handy you can grab so that you can come up and stand on your knees. And just cushion up as much as you feel like you want. A little bit of extra padding there. Poor kitty, so neglected. You're gonna stand on your knees, bring your hands to your hips. And then can you lean your whole self back from your knees to your head, right? At one angle. So without back bending or collapsing or leaning back, just keep everything tall. Lean back until you feel your quads contract again and then come forward. And do that just a few times. Lean back and then come forward. Okay, and then try leaning back. Doesn't even have to be very far. And then contract your glutes. Just gonna squeeze into the glutes and push your thighs forward. And then push your hips a little more forward. And then lift your lower back. And then lift your rib cage. And open your chest and look up and drop your elbows back. Keep some tension in the back body. And then let it go. And you can just come back and stand upright on your knees, or if it's okay to sit back on your feet, you can sit back on your feet, or you could just sit back on your block. Kitty, this is really not the time. You're feeling so needy and neglected. Just take a breath. We're going to repeat that. We're going to do that little camel pose one more time. So we're gonna lean back. And just feel everything tighten up, where you feel your legs start to tighten up, and then you want to tighten through the glutes and the hamstrings, push or let the pelvis come forward, and then lift from there, extension from there, natural, comfortable arch in your lumbar spine, but then bring that up into your rib cage spine. Lift your chest, your elbows back. You just hold onto your hips or your lower back, elbows back, shoulder blades down, lift your gaze, take one breath. Mild back bend that feels like a lot more, right? That feels like a lot. Not a deep back bend, not a back bend where we're trying to drop into the lumbar spine. And you're going to sit in any comfortable seat. So if sitting back on your heels with a block under your hips is comfortable, you can sit there. You can just sit in easy pose with some support under your hips. And then let's go back into that. We'll go back into that breath directed seated twist, little dynamic seated twist. Sitting upright, you want to wait for the arrival of inhalation. So be very sensitive to when that happens, when that starts. When that starts, let that be the cue to lift your right arm. Let the exhale begin, and then let your right arm follow across to your left knee and rotate. Wait for the inhalation. Come out of the twist with your left arm up. Let the exhale begin and then across with your left hand. All the way to the end of exhale. Wait for inhalation. let's do one more to each side. We do this a lot, but just see if you can be a little more granular in your attention, a little closer, a little more sensitive to the breath beginning and letting movement happen right after the beginning initiation of breath. And then release that and come out of the twist. Can come off of a block if you were sitting on a block, and then just take the blanket out from under. We don't need any more warmth. Maybe keep it for Shavasana if you want to have that for Shavasana, and then come to sit. Take your left leg out, fold your right knee, bring the sole of your right foot to the inside of your left thigh, Janu Shirshasana. And then with that same sensitivity to breath, we'll just do one breath to extend and lift and reach the right arm. Exhale, rotate and reach across and down. Take a breath in. Exhale, rotate, fold any amount more. 3 more breaths. Finish the exhale and then let all of that go and bring yourself back upright. Find some height from your sit bones upward and lengthen up through your spine again. And then with inhalation, wait for the inhale to begin and then take your arms overhead. Exhale, fold toward the extended leg. And then completely drop your head. Bring your chin toward your chest. Three more breaths. Finish exhalation. Lift yourself back up and then switch legs. Take your right leg out, bring your left foot in. And then wait for inhalation and then let inhalation begin and then raise your left arm. Exhale, reach across. Use your right hand for support. Three more breaths. Good. Inhale, release the arms, release the twist, come back to an upright spine. Wait for inhale and inhale begin. Follow that with your arms lifting up overhead. Exhale begins, fold forward. And then chin to chest, drop the head completely, chin to chest, nose to knee, forehead to knee. Good, inhale, lift the head, lift the gaze, exhale, walk your hands back up. Send both legs out in front of you and shift your hips forward. You have your block handy, come onto your back. Just let your feet come to stand on the floor behind your hips. And just be wide and heavy, soft, wide and heavy across your lower back, across the sacrum. And in a sense, kind of sense the angle, right, at which your pelvis naturally tilts. So you feel the natural curve of your lumbar spine. Okay, and then we'll work a little bit in the belly, do a little bit of abdominal work and building abdominal support. We're going to keep the head on the floor and just take your arms up into the air. Okay, this takes a few rounds of kind of getting used to the pattern. It is like a couple of people have already said that, like patting your belly and rubbing your head, or patting your head and rubbing your belly, with your arms and legs doing slightly different things. I'm going to start with your arms vertical, fingers looking at the ceiling, and then pull your belly in, flatten your lower back, and bend your knees, lift your feet up off the floor so your legs are at right angles at the knees. And then with exhalation, you're going to reach one arm overhead while you extend the opposite leg out. So if that's right arm, left leg, feel the belly contract more, and then bring the arm back and bring the leg back. And this is your inhale. So the exhale is the movement. But try to keep a sense of that tension in your lower abdomen. So you might go slowly to begin, just to establish the pattern of movement and the coordination, and then you can speed it up. And then coordinate breath. If you speed it up, let your breath speed up. All the time, low back, extended. Hold the belly close. Three more. Each pair, three more. Good. And then feet to the floor, arms overhead, and then your legs long. Pull, hook your thumbs together, stretch. Good. And then bring your arms down alongside you. Bring your feet back up to stand on the floor, and then take your block either on the low, flat side between your sacrum and the floor, or you could bring it up a level so the long, skinny edge is between your sacrum and the floor, vertically on that long side. And take a few breaths and just really feel your weight drop. The block come into your back, feel your weight come into the block. Feel what there is to feel around the region of your lower belly. As you breathe with your belly a little bit elevated like this. Once you have a sense of that kind of merging of your block, the weight of your hips, you could extend one or both legs. One leg is a little nicer on your lower back. There are any issues there, you might just extend one leg. Relax that foot, relax that ankle, so let the full weight of that leg find the floor. Feel any tension or strain in the sacrum or low back region, you can lift that left knee or the knee that's still close to you, and then let it just fall under its own weight a little toward your chest. You can hold on to it with your hand, with the same side hand. So that extended leg, when you extend your leg, you tilt your pelvis even more forward, right? And which kind of arches your low back a little more deeply and flexes into the back of your sacrum and your lower back. And that can just create a little bit of discomfort. And so when you pull your knee up into your hand and let your knee come toward you, you kind of correct that angle of your pelvis. So you're a little more neutral, but you're still getting this nice hip extension in the front of your hip. Maybe feel it up into your abdomen. Take one more breath on this side. Good. So we're going to let that go. We're going to step that foot back down to the floor and then extend your other leg. Good. So I know we are going a little bit over because I'm having confusion. We're going to go just a few minutes over like a normal 1 hour class because I inadvertently started it at 6:15 instead of 6:30. And then only just realized, right, that a 45-minute class would just go even then from 6:30 to 7:15. Then I was thinking that I needed to go for an hour. And so the correct start time of 6:30 will take us to 7:30 instead of 7:15. So yay, a few more minutes. A lot of just like little scheduling, reschedulings and cancellations and move arounds and that kind of thing for all the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know if that is just throwing my sense of time off, time and day and whatnot, start time, end time, but here we are. So you're going to come off the block and bring your knees into your chest. So the whole spine, back of your hips find the floor. Feel the pressure. Feel the press of your weight against the floor. Take yourself from side to side. Good, and then spread your arms wide and drop your knees to one side. Come fully into reclined twist. Just take 5 breaths. Switch sides when you're ready. Bring your knees back in. Come back onto your back. Drop knees to the right. And so we'll come from reclined twist to any support you want to put under your self for Shavasana. So head, spine, knees, minimal, or a couple of props. Fold a long blanket and then just have a block that's flat as lowest but vertical behind the blanket. And then bring yourself to lie back. Make yourself just as comfortable as you can so that you have 5 minutes uninterrupted, undistracted, quiet rest. Just let your breath move in any way that feels right, any way that means you don't have to direct it or put any effort into it at all. You want to breathe out through your mouth, breathe out through your mouth. Take another 3 or 4 breaths. Take another breath here in Shavasana in your resting position. Finish that breath and then bring your feet up to stand. Let you shift your hips to one side. Rest on your side for a moment for a breath or two. Push yourself to a seat when you're ready to feel your way to a seat. Close your practice here very simply, briefly, with your palms together in front of your heart. Just, again, simply honoring your time and your commitment to making time week after week after week. Another link in your chain. And let the practice go here, but you might stay attuned to the effects of your practice on you through the next day or so, next couple of days until you return to that. Thanks once again for your time. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your evening. With Mr. Gibbs.